Good morning. This is Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico, coming to you on the 13th, 14th of January 2024. Man, 24, that's a lot, isn't it, Fred? Anyway,
Oh boy, yes, it is actually.
sneaked up on us like wouldn't believe. But here we are in the 2024, and we got a little dusting of snow overnight, which made things a little challenging this morning, but we've overcome it, and there's several of us here in the sanctuary. I'm really glad that we have so many people on Zoom, and so we have an exciting and program for you today. Mike Rose is going to be our main speaker. We have Susan, will you give our opening prayer?
Certainly.
She will. She always says yes. That's why she's been around so long, because that's a trait that we have in common. We don't know how to say no. Fred Brown is going to play our music, and who's going to do our spiritual reading?
I don't know.
Oh, so, okay. So Kate is going to do our spiritual reading. So that should be everybody, is that right? And I'm Ron Holloway, and I'll be your moderator. Really glad to be back. I was sick one week, and then the next week I was snowed in, and now this is the third week, and I'm back.
Is Carol online?
Carol is online.
Is she doing the spiritual reading, or is she next week? I don't remember what week
I
she
usually
has.
do.
She's doing it that time.
I usually do it.
You do, okay.
I'm the end of the month.
Carol is down at the end of the month, usually on the fourth week, right, Carol?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
did
right.
it last
You
week.
did it last week.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, there we go. So we're going to, are there any announcements we need to talk about prior to starting?
Tentatively, we're gonna have a board meeting because we have some expenses we need to discuss, but Steve and I need to discuss them first. And I don't know if we'll get to it this week, so.
So you need to decide when you're gonna have a board meeting and announce it?
Well, I can't make that decision today. But we're gonna have one somewhere in the next couple of weeks.
That's
Heads up, that's what she's saying, heads
That's
up.
right.
Heads
It's
up.
coming.
Okay, so she's saying that there is some church business that needs to be attended to, and a board meeting is imminent, and you will be notified maybe a week before when it's gonna happen. How's that? Okay? All right, so Steve is with us, and he's our board president right now, and Jerry is our secretary, so, and treasurer. Anyway, nothing is pressing, or we would have to attend, we could attend to it today, but it's not pressing. The church is doing
Yeah, we're doing fine.
doing
Just
doing
have some
fine,
purchases
doing
we
fine.
need to
And
know.
all those,
Have some purchases we need to know.
right. Okay, so, Fred is gonna do our prelude, and is it gonna be a Great Spirit?
No,
What is it gonna
No.
no. It's not.
Okay, so Fred is gonna play us a mystery song,
Mystery song.
and so get prepared, get
I
yourself ready.
decided to change
Go
it
for it.
this morning. Oops.
There you are, Fred.
Because I actually read the email,
Hmm,
and then I knew it was gonna be Mike, and so I decided to play a song that Mike likes.
there you go.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that we dream of once in and west. You'll find me somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of. Oh, why can I see trees of green and red roses too? I watch them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, where babies cry and I watch them grow, they learn much more than we'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are all high. Me will drop off my slalom and drop high above the tombtops as well. You'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dare to. Why, oh, why can I?
All right. Now, if you weren't ready, you should be ready now. Which is the purpose for our prelude, to get our music, to get us in a frame of mind to where we are receptive for spiritual growth. Okay. Susan is going to give our opening prayer now. Whoop, what happened to her?
Good morning, everyone.
Where's
Let us close our eyes, take a deep breath, and allow that energy to flow in through the top of the head, down through the entire body. Creator, Mother, Father, God, we give thanks for this day, for these great opportunities, for our learning, for our growth. We give thanks for each and every person that we are able to connect with today, that we will go out and become lights to our community, to our friends, to those that we love. We give thanks for the opportunity to learn through growth, through situations that we may not actually like, and yet knowing that this is to make us better people, a better channel for the love and the light that is God's, that becomes ours. We ask for blessings today, now, on all of those. We ask for better health, better wisdom, for all of the good things that we have been blessed with. For all of this, we truly give thanks. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Susan. Well, I have some sad news today. Many of you know Lynette Justice, who comes to our church sometimes, and she's just a prominent, good spiritual person in our. So many of us have come across. She's been a good friend of mine for about 30 years, and her husband, her ex-husband, Wesley Justice, is also an equally good friend of mine. And their daughter was in a. They have one daughter and she was in a car wreck on Friday.
Speak up a little. Speak up a little, please.
I said that Lynette Justice and Wesley Justice's daughter was in a car wreck on Friday. She is in the hospital in Durango, the last I heard, and it was not good news. That's all Wesley has been able to share with us. So she has a daughter that's about 13 or 14 years old. She's also married. She works at the senior center over in Aztec. And so if we could give her, some prayers, we would appreciate it. And I'll keep you informed about what's going on. So the Power of Eight could probably do, but it has happened on Friday after Power of Eight had already met. So anyway, members of the church, please include them in your prayers. Her name is Jade, and it's Lynette and Wes Justice's daughter. So thank you. Okay, so now we have another song. What are we going to do now?
This will be a great spirit. Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
Thank you, Fred. Okay, so we have a situation here. We have two microphones going. One is for the Zoom people. It's the one that is in front of me, closest to me. And the one that Fred uses, and the one that Fred uses is here in the auditorium. My concern is that if I speak hard enough, too loudly, that I'll be like yelling at the Zoom people. And I don't know what the reaction is. How are we coming across? Let us know what's happening. Can you hear? Am I like I'm yelling or no? No? Okay, that's good. Can you hear me, Jerry?
Jerry can hear you.
Thank you. Okay.
I can hear you when you speak moderately. I can't hear you when you get like this talking like this.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I have to look at my screen, and sometimes. So I'll try to do my very best to please you. Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to do our reflection moment. So if you could follow with me. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness. And so it is. Thank you. Okay, so Kate has got our spiritual reading.
Morning, everyone. And I'm taking our spiritual reading from the November 2023 Guide for Spiritual Living, Science of Mind. And it's called Muscle, Cell, and Brain Memories. It's by Mark Waldman and Andrew Newberg, who's an MD. In the August issue, we wrote an article explaining that most of our memories are imaginary. To summarize, autobiographical memory traces, recollections of our sense of self, and past emotional experiences caused by real-world events are actually a collection of memory protein molecules that literally float around the synapses between neurons, communicating with each other. Other proteins help to stabilize the movement of those memory proteins that contain snippets of vague, generalized images, sounds, textures, and sensations associated with the in-world experiences you just had. And they only last for a few hours, days, or weeks. They are used by our imagination default network to envision future activities and to carry out the tasks we need to do in the present moment, to go somewhere, speak to another person, plan a meal, or search the internet, to do anything. After your imagination, which includes your thinking and feeling processes, has used that memory trace, it creates a new one with a different arrangement of protein molecules, which means that the next time you recall or remember something, it's not exactly the same memory. As the famous neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux often says, each time you retrieve a memory, it becomes a new memory. New information gets incorporated in that memory, and that's what the person remembers. However, we rarely are aware of those changes. We may think we are recalling the same thing, but we aren't. Your brain doesn't care about accuracy, and it actually does not keep a record of the past. It's concerned with only what you need to do right now to achieve your desires and goals. And if your brain doesn't use those memory traces, they will be extinguished, even the painful ones. It's hard enough to grasp this notion that memories are a constantly changing imagination process, but it helps explain why memories can't be stored in the body. Those memory proteins are formed only in the brain, but things can get confusing because neuroscientists will sometimes use terms like muscle memory and cellular memory. Muscle memory describes the ability of our muscles to repeat movements previously learned. It's not the muscles themselves that remember, but rather the protein molecules in the synapses within the motor cortex and cerebellum. Through repetition of the same movement, like riding a bicycle, those memory traces become stronger and the movements become easier and more automatic. Isn't that exciting? But most of us actually move in inefficient ways. We slouch, we keep excessive tension in our bodies, and we rarely take time to relax. But when we practice slow, mindful movement, becoming exquisitely aware of what it feels like to take a single step or take a full 60 seconds to make one gentle roll of your head, your brain will quickly learn how to more efficiently relax with far less pain. The term cell memory refers to the principle that some body cells, particularly those associated with our immune system, can retain information about their previous state. It's a genetic alteration within the cells, not between them, like the synapse in your brain. For example, when you get a flu shot, those immune cells learn how to react to the toxin and then genetically pass that information on to new cells. The immune system uses a combination of B cells, T cells, and antigen presenting cells, and that's called APCs, to help recognize and remember pathogens. And those APCs, which do not exist in the brain, can pass that information on to other immune cells. After the pathogen has been eliminated, the information can be retained in the body as memory cells. Here's what's really cool. There are now dozens of studies showing you can meditate on a single word that has great meaning and value to you. Love, peace, God, and it will turn on thousands of immune enhancing and stress reducing genes, thereby strengthening the power of your memory cells.
Thank you, Kate. All right. Okay, so we have another song. What is this one gonna be?
Lean on me.
Lean on Me.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, and I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if you have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill all of those needs that you won't let show. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand, and won't need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll help you carry on, for if you run along, I'm gonna be somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. I just need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll lead around. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, and I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call me when you need to call me, when you need a friend me, when you need to call me, when you need to call me. Won't you call me when you need a friend me, when you need a friend. Oh, lean on me when you're not strong, and I'm your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, and I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
All right.
Thank you.
That'll get us all our blood rolling, pumping and doing good things. Okay. So now is our message from Mike Rose, who we love, and we miss that him and his family are not able to be with us every week, but they're very often able to be with us on the Zoom, and sometimes they come in person, and they're still a part of our congregation, no matter where they are in the world. We love them just like we always have. And anyway, Mike Rose always has something useful for us to think about, and it always has to do with love and coming together. So anyway, it says here on my little deal, it says, be passers-by, and I'm not sure what that means, but I'm sure that Mike is going to let us know, if I can find Mike. Oop, there he is. Let's welcome Mike Rose.
So I'm up and running there, Ron?
You are on, my friend.
Okay. I'd just like to say good morning, everyone, and thank you, Fred. That was wonderful. I just don't know that I need to even say anything after that. It's pretty cool. So, but anyway, speaking of A Course in Miracles, just kidding. I know we all think that's my calling card, but I'd just like to say that, one of the things about the Course that's always intrigued me is that the way that it talks to us on so many different levels and affects our lives, right? I mean, it affects us psychologically, philosophically, spiritually, and even theologically, if you want to consider what Jesus has to say in the Course about, the misinterpretations of the Bible. So it covers a whole gamut of things. But, I'd be the first to admit that, the Course can be pretty daunting at times, right? I mean, if you've ever dealt in the Course, you realize that sometimes you find yourself reading the same sentence or the same paragraph like over and over and over again, trying to decipher some sort of, meaning that is hidden in there somewhere. And it just all of a sudden it becomes personal. You just feel like, I know it's there and I know I'm going to find it. I'm just going to stay diligent to my search, right? So, and you find yourself coming up with all kinds of little different schemes. You start reading it in a different cadence or putting a certain emphasis on a certain word, or you read it aloud and you start reading it in the first person. But all that being said, that you have a direction. There's something in your soul that's saying, I'm going to be diligent to this, and I know I want to find this answer. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about today is some other sayings that are from Jesus that they've discovered, that other than in the Course in the Bible, and of which most of them really kind of puts us in that same dilemma as we find in Course at times, that the best I can say is, man, they are head scratchers, okay, for lack of a better term. These kind of like you were talking about, Ron, what does passers-by mean? It's pretty vague. So, and hopefully we get to that part of it. But these sayings have come from a book that I've happened on to a little over a year or so ago. It's the Gospel of Thomas. And I have totally found it just fascinating to try to dive into these sayings. There's 114 of them. We're only going to be looking at a couple. But they're all just amazing. And anyway, it's become an integral part of my study life anymore. And just ask Lily if you don't believe me. It's got to the point every time I go in the house now, she says, so how's Thomas? Like we're friends. And it's really kind of become that. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of taken over my intrigue, if you will. And I just like to say at the offset that, I love to try to interpret, spiritual readings. It's just kind of a passion of mine. And man, when I found Thomas, I mean, this is like the mother lode. It's like, search no further, here's enough. This will keep you occupied for a while. And I also just like to say that there's no way I think I could try to get involved in interpreting these things if it wasn't for being able to look at these things through the lens of the Course and filtering through that lens. It's so much of it's got to do with spirit and ego and those kind of terms. And when you apply those terms to the sayings, they seem to take on a whole nother life of their own, for me, anyway. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. And I know Fred touched on this back in November. I watched his talk, and he gave a great overview of the history of Thomas and all that. I'm not going to go into much of that. I'm just going to pretty much go right into some of the sayings and that kind of stuff. But it was a great overview, and if you're ever interested, that's a good watch again. As a matter of fact, when I was kind of working through this, I brought up some YouTube stuff and was looking at other people's comments and commentaries and that kind of thing. And lo and behold, who did I see in the YouTube thing? It's Fred. Hey, a friend. It's cool. So, but anyway, in Fred's talk, he also, he mentioned that, there are some pretty oblique sayings in there that are actually, they're very difficult to kind of comprehend. So, without further ado, I think we'll go ahead and we'll see if we can tackle, a few of them and see if we can unpack some of their meanings. And I just like to start at the first, and this is what I'd like to share my screen on. Share.
There you go.
So
You got it.
Can you guys all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so the one I want to start with is, it's right there at the first. Actually, the first one that says, Jesus said. And just to qualify a little bit, all of these statements are Jesus said statements. They don't go into any details about, surroundings, what's going on, that kind of thing. These are just Jesus said, and then the statement. And then the next one, Jesus said, and then the statement. So, it just kind of cuts to the chase. So anyway, the first one we're looking at here, it says, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. So when I look at statements like this, I mean, the first thing I start to do to unravel in my mind is I start picking out certain words and then try to really, dive into that. What does it really mean? So the first words that pop out to me in this thing is, the word seeks. And that whole idea of, well, why? Why would one be seeking in the first place, right? I mean, you're not just walking around saying, oh, boom, I think I need to seek for something. I mean, something is occurring in your life that you feel you need to, address. And so you're seeking for it. And so that becomes, the why. And typically that kind of thing is brought about by, in our context of the things that we talk about, a seeking would be for, I have a sense of lack in my inner peace, let's say. Okay. So there's something bothering me. I'm not as peaceful as I think I should be, or I know that I can be. There's something happening, and I need to find the answer. So that becomes, the why we seek is because we feel a sense of lack, right? And then the other part is exactly what is it that we're, seeking for? And that's a biggie. I mean, we're seeking for some sort of resolution, something that we can hang our hat on that says, geez, what is going on? So we're, we know why we're seeking. We don't feel right. And now we're seeking for what it is that is not making us feel right. And if you, get into Course much, I mean, one of the things we realize is we need to identify what it is in our lives that's creating this emotion and the conflicts and whatnot. So there's a great line in the Course that says that it is not necessary to seek for what is true, but it is necessary to seek for what is false. Now just let that sink in for just a minute. It is not necessary to seek for what is true, but it is necessary to seek for what is false. And if we think in terms of, everything that is not of love in our lives, man, is a false narrative. Okay. I mean, the Course gives us, right in the introduction of the Course, it gives us a kind of an intro into that. And gives us an avenue to start walking down it. It's right in the introduction, and it says, to quote, says, "The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. But it does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence." I'll read that one more time. "The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. But it does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence." The premise being that in no matter what situation or relationship, whatever it is that we're in, love is always present somewhere, somehow within all of that. Love is the mainstay. And if we're not seeing love, then there are obstacles that are keeping us from doing that. Typically, if we're judging someone or, going down that road of, holding a grievance, those kind of things. One of the things that crossed my mind is that old adage that we always talk about. I think I heard this from Bill, mostly, was that whole part about resentment, right? Resentment is taking poison, hoping the other person will die. Those kind of things. I mean, that's what sticks in our craw, and those are the obstacles. Those are the things that are in front of us that we need to identify. So it's not searching for a truth that's just going to go, bing, here it is, there's truth, happy-go-lucky, que sera, kumbaya. We have to do the work. We have to do some soul seeking and find out, what is it that's causing this to happen? Why do I have these ill feelings? And, then chase it, in his book that we read not too long ago called Choose Again by Diedrich Wolkoff. His whole premise throughout the whole thing is basically based on the idea in the Course. It says, I am never upset for the reasons I think. Well, if you're not upset for the reason you think, then you need to be looking somewhere else, right? Get to the core. What is it that bothers me? What pulls, what is that tipping point? What triggers that trigger that makes me go in that direction of my thoughts? And that's what we have to address, is going to the source. What is it that's making me feel so unpeaceful? And so anyway, we've covered the seek for what is true. You have to seek for what's false. And if you identify everything that is not a loving thought as being a false thought, that's what we need to find. That's what we need to discover and deal with. And once that's done, then we can absolutely move on. So that's kind of the why and the what we're seeking for. And you got to know, when we find it, there's going to be a fight. There's that ego going, wait a minute, not so fast. There's a lot to unpack here. We need to make sure that, the person's getting their just due from my judgment thoughts and everything until I'm satisfied that, it's okay. And then we'll move on, maybe, or bring it back from the past if it comes up again. Those kind of things. I think you all know the kind of, dynamics I'm talking about there. But when you address it, when you finally find it, and you're going, oh, that is really an issue, then you can't help but be troubled. Because now you got to decide, I'm not going to go in that direction anymore, or I'm going to use my ability of justified judgment to make sure that I hang on to it for just a little longer. The Course tells us that always, and in the end, in the answer to anything that's a problem with you, is forgiveness. Plain and simple. If there's anything in your life that's not giving you peace, it's something you need to forgive. That's That's the game. That's what we know. So forgiving yourself, for having these issues, this troubling issues, that's where it starts. I got to forgive myself so that I know that they're already forgiven. If I can go to that place, and then we look at it like, oh man, what a blessing. Thank you so much for putting me in that situation that brings me to a mindset where I have to deal with myself and these answers, and I'm going to do better in the future. I know it. So, that's why I always said that the people in your lives that are the biggest pain, if you will, those are the ones that are really your messiahs, right? Those are your saviors. They're the ones who have pushed your buttons, and now you can reflect and go, geez, I thought I was a lot farther along the spiritual path than that. And if it wasn't for you bringing that to my attention, I wouldn't be having these moments of reflection. So thank you. Bless it and let it go. And in that moment, I think you will find the astonishment that comes from that kind of reflection. When your enemy becomes your savior, that's astonishing. So anyway, that's kind of how I like to dive into it and unpack it. I look for those certain words and ask certain questions and try to really delve into what do they really mean, the why, the what, that kind of stuff. So that's how I enter these kind of phrases and try to interpret them. Now Fred had mentioned this one in his talk, and it's, a lot of the commentaries and people I read, they're going, what the hell is this supposed to mean? It's the lion and the man, right? And it says, it's number 7 statement, and it says, blessed is the lion which becomes man when consumed by man, and cursed is the man whom the lion consumes, and the lion becomes man. So because of all the course background and that kind of stuff and all the terminology, the first thing that entered my mind when I read that is the lion is the ego to me, and when you think about it in those terms, and the man consuming the ego, which to me is another way of like swallowing your pride, if you will, kind of put a pun spin on it, that if you can integrate that, make peace with that part of your ego that was always trying to dominate everything and tame it, and it becomes a part of you that can be more helpful and not a hindrance when it's consumed, then blessed is that ego, if you will, that it's not dominating. But the second part of it is, and cursed is the man whom the lion consumes, and the lion becomes man. Now, obviously, that's got to be when the ego takes over your life and consumes you. There you are. I mean, it's one or the other. Either you've tamed the ego or the ego's eaten you. And that's to me, that's kind of, plain and simple how I do that. Now, there's probably a lot of other ways to unpack that and different things. People have different ideas. And mine are by no means the, answer. I'm just trying to walk us through how I look at these kind of verses and interpret it and how I dive into it. So, and hopefully we can get through a couple more. I don't know what kind, I'm not watching my time, Rob. So we'll tackle the one, be passers-by. This is the shortest, statement in all of them. And it's pretty intriguing, actually. Become passers-by. So we were reading another book in, my other Sunday school class that I attend. And it was talking about a sect of the early Christians and the kind of the bylaws that they wrote, that this is how we're going to live in our community, and these are the kind of things that we're going to stay steadfast to. And one of them says that if a prophet comes into your village, into your community, and do not let him stay for more than a day, or 2 if it has to be, but never 3. By that time he should be gone. And I thought that was intriguing, that the whole idea that, a prophet really is supposed to come in and deliver the message. If you can't deliver your message in a day, then, you've got too long of a message probably. And they don't want you to stay, because to stay would be kind of overstaying your welcome, in that if you keep talking and everything, pretty soon people may start confusing the message with the messenger. And you don't want your prophet to ever be worshipped, right? Especially more so than the message that he's bringing. And I think people like the Methodists and people like that in the past, man, they've always had this thing, 3 years, man, and you're gone. That's it. And there's a lot of, I think, logic to that kind of thing. You don't want that person delivering the message to be put on a pedestal that overtakes the message. And I think Jesus warned us about that, about thinking about him. Look, it's the message, not the messenger. I'm glad to be bringing it, and I'm glad you like me, and I like you too. But it's the message that we need to be concerned about. If you start turning me into something other and bigger than the message, then you've missed the point of everything I've been trying to tell you. So, the gospel according to mine. Okay, there we go. So, anyway, the passers-by thing is, you can also look at that in terms of our world, going, man, I need to be able to pass by the arguments and the agitations and the materialism of the world. Why do I want to take time to stop and think and analyze and say, I need to judge this for a few minutes and just satisfy my mind that I'm right about things? Be passers-by. Wow, what a small little interesting comment, man. So the next time you're walking by something and you feel like, geez, I really need to judge that, I go, why don't I just be a passerby?
Yes.
Let's try that on for a minute, and see how that works out for us. So that was the passersby, and I'm going to try to attempt to maybe get through one more. And this is number 50, and I found this very intriguing in a lot of ways. And I don't even have the whole part of it up there, but it says, Jesus said, if they say to you, where did you come from? Say to them, we came from the light, the place where the light came into being on its own accord. Oh, I put the S in there. I was thinking beings came into our people, beings. Anyway, sorry I missed that. But anyway, we came from the light, the place where the light came into being on its own accord and established itself and became manifest through their image. So when I read this, the first thing I pick about is, who is there at the end? Is he talking to the people that are asking the question? I think so. And if that's the case, what he's really trying to tell them is to tell the people, we come from the light that comes from you. The same light. I'm not different than you. I don't have a light. Actually, the light that I come from is the light that I see in you. And we think about that in terms of like namaste. It could be, may the light in me see the light in you, because I can't know the light in me unless I see it in you. May the Christ in me see the Christ in you. That whole idea. And I think if he's trying to tell his disciples, this is how you should approach people who ask you such things. Let them know that I'm no different than you. The same light that I'm seeing is the light that I'm seeing is coming from you. It's in all of us. And you're setting the stage for commonality and unity instead of that pat on the back of, well, let me tell you, I've got, this behind me, and I got a Course in Miracles, and I got all these spiritual teachings. Let me give you some insight and clue here. The first thing you want to do is set the stage of, man, you are my blessed friend. That's how we start. And then, and go into dialogue or whatever, however that comes about. So, and the end of the statement, I didn't put that up there. I don't know why I didn't, but he talks about, if they say to you, where do you come, what is the sign of your Father? What is in you that you're promoting here? What is the sign that you live by? And he tells them to tell them that it is movement and repose. That's the sign of the Father. And I thought that was really cool, man. I mean, the first thing that came into my mind was, wow, I had this image of a stream feeding into a pond, right? You're moving, you enter the pond, if you will, and live in the current moment, the present moment, and you reflect and you move on down through another stream. It's kind of like in the Book of Illusions, where he talks about the clingers, right? In the introduction, you know, the clingers that hung on in the stream, and one of them finally says, "Man, I'm tired of hanging on. I'm letting go." And they say, "God, you're going to be killed and bruised and everything. You're insane." He says, "I can't help it. I can't hang on anymore. It's driving me crazy." He leaves, lets go, goes down the stream, and he falls into another community, and everybody says, "Oh, look, it's the Messiah come from above." He says, "God, I'm no more Messiah than you." And he stays for a while, maybe a day, and let's go. And everybody says, "Oh, the Messiah that came and left us with, the message, and he's gone." So all those things kind of intermingle in my mind when I'm reading these things. So, but anyway, I may have talked a little bit or whatever. I just wanted to share with you a new passion of mine, again, being, the Book of Thomas. And yes, like it can be daunting for sure, but boy, is it ever worth trying to break it down, cipher something, and who knows what kind of insight you might get, that aha moment, that we're all looking for. And this certainly brings a lot to the table. With that, I just say thanks for listening.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thanks, Mike. You want to take down your share?
Okay.
There you go. Now we can see you. Yeah, you might find it interesting that today, we're reading The Divine Matrix by Greg Braden, and at the beginning of every chapter, he has a quote from somebody. Today, we had 2 quotes on 2 chapters from the Gospel of Thomas.
Oh, cool.
It was pretty neat. Yeah. So, does anyone have anything that they would like to ask Mike, or talk to Mike, or comment on Mike, or say hi to Mike, or whatever if you want to, come forward.
Hi, Mike. So good
Hey.
to see you. I really like your beard. Cool.
I figured.
Yeah, it
Right.
sure be nice to see you guys in person again. So,
Yeah.
but Book of Thomas, that's really intriguing, and I hope we get more study into some of these alternative Bibles, if you will. I know there's several of them out there.
Different
so.
points of view.
Different points of view, all centered on the Christ beingness. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Mike, you think that become passersby is maybe that we don't need to stop and judge and fix everybody?
Yeah, no doubt. Huh? Yeah. For such a short little phrase, man, it's packed if you want to take the time to contemplate it.
It really is. All right. Well, you going to come up, Jerry?
I just thought of something I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I like the, not parable, but the comparison of the lion to the ego, and, that we can control it, that we don't have to be afraid of it, and we don't have to let it rule our lives. And so that gives me a whole different perspective on my ego. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you. And we appreciate your message, and we appreciate, there we go, that you've come and shared with us today. It was all useful, practical, and very, very loving stuff, and that's what we expect from you, and that's what we get every time. So thank you so much. Let's give Mike Rose a big hand. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike. So now we have another mystery song from Fred.
This is in the book. I think it was in the list, All Is Well. I don't know. freedom from yesterday's mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new, and don't it feel good to know that all is well and holding as it should. All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well. All is well and folding as it should. Well, I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours, and it's mine. I am loved, so are you. Don't it feel good to know that all is well and holding as it should? All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well. All is well and holding as it should. Well, I am clothed in the Spirit, I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is, and my soul is free from time. I am blessed, so are you. Don't it feel good to know that all is well and holding as it should? We sing all is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, oh, all is well. All is well and holding as it should. All is well and holding as it should.
All right. Thank you, Fred. I always enjoy your music. And I'm really close to it, too.
Yes, you are.
Anyway, that's great. Thank you so much. So now let's do our celebration of abundance. So put over our hearts that which we intend to contribute and repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive through infinity. I am prosperous. There you go. So we thank you for your contribution, and if you're on Zoom, you can mail your contribution to the church here. And what's the address? Remind me. 2009 East 13th Street, and it is a secure box that we check at almost every day. So if you want to send in, don't send cash, but send perhaps a check would be great. So thank you very much. And you could do PayPal online if you'd like also. That's available. All right, so now, do we have something from the children?
Yep.
Okay, so the children are going to,
They're back there.
yeah.
You guys ready? You're up.
Come on up.
Okay, today we're going to do a reading called The Tales of the Ant. Some people say I'm tiny, but I will not be whiny. Some people say I'm very small, really I'm exponential. If you only knew me, I'm sure you would agree that I'm really very strong, and about me you are wrong. Even though I'm so wee, I have a great big family. When you see us in your yard, We're working very hard. Just because I'm little, I shouldn't be belittled. Even though I live in dirt, my feelings are very easily hurt. In God's plan, I play my part, and very tender is my heart. Next time you're on a walking spree, please think to step over me.
Speak up, Jamie.
Listen, the little ant is one of God's smallest creatures of nature. Even though the ant is so tiny, it still has a very important part to play in the whole way of nature works together. God doesn't want us hurting any of his animals or little creatures. They all have energy and are part of the whole living and breathing life of our planet Earth. We should stop to think about that little ant that we're about to step on. It has energy, it has a reason for living, it is busy at doing its job for its own community, it has a life. We must love all forms of life. Just because something is smaller than we are does not mean that it is not important. It doesn't mean that we can just kill it because it won't matter. It does matter. Please always remember to love the life and all God's little creatures. If you can do this, you will grow up to be a kind and peaceful adult who will respect and love all people too.
All right. That's great. Thank you, kids. Do you like coming to church over here? Yeah, do you always learn something? Yeah, that's great. Well, we are really appreciative of you being here because you always teach us something. And we love that. Thank you very much. All right. Announcements. If you weren't here in the beginning, we do expect to be having a board meeting soon, and they will let you know. Other than that, the church is doing fine financially and administratively. Everything is doing good. The building's holding up, and everything seems to be working pretty well, doesn't it, Steve? Mechanically. So we have no worries along those lines. We have no worries along any lines, really. We just are here to learn to be better lovers of each other and of humanity as a whole. So we now have Bill Clark is going to come and give us a closing message.
Well, Ron, it matches exactly with what you just said. Love is a guiding principle. Love and do what you like. St. Augustine. Most spiritual traditions come back to something that sounds like the golden rule. When we choose, act, and live in love, we really can't go wrong. First, embracing a loving attitude towards others and ourselves, it naturally flows that we will not harm anyone. Even more, we will take steps to increase our sense of connection and offer help and encouragement to all of those around us. The walkaway is, the most important part of my life is my capacity for love. I will focus on love and let everything else flow out from that center. God bless, and y'all have a great week.
Thank you, Bill. Important message. Okay, so now we're going to circle up and sing our way out of this place.
Got the screen up here.
Oh, what the heck happened here?
If everybody does the thumbs the same way, then
Yeah.
you have to be actually around the circle. Okay. Or the thumbs on the same.
1, 2, 3.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains
mountains, to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together in unity, and yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, family all are we. So let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, yes, this is the moment now. And with every breath I take, let this be thy joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
Have a good week, stay warm and dry, and may the God bless you and keep you until we meet again.
Amen.
Appreciate what you do.
How are you?
Appreciate you.
I will know you. Thank you.
Give her best to Sue. Is she doing well? She's just busy.
Gotta make it
Hard to
feel
get
it.
hugs out.
Kind of in a
I
pause
know, they're
spot.
horrible.
Well,
Yeah.
bless her. Just tell her we're thinking.
Yep, every day, a
Okay?
couple more
We're not
minutes of
going to
sunshine, a couple more degrees of
Told her I
warmth.
wanted to go.
I know
So-
you did.
All right.
Right?
Come here, sweetheart. I love you.
And I want you to understand, it's not because I can't hear you that much, it's Marion and Margaret. When
Well, I
your
know they
voice-
have-
When
they
your
have
voice, your voice goes like this,
Mhm.
instead of being consistent.
How did your cataract
And I don't mean louder. I
It's
mean
getting
consistent.
better.
Oh, we should just
So
hook up
if you could work on
the,
that
I,
instead of
uh,
louder. Louder's not necessary.
Had
I know you
laryngitis,
thought that that's what I
and
wanted,
I
but it
tried to
wasn't.
convince my cataract doctor not to do it, and he said, no, we're doing it anyway, because
Yeah,
you're not running a
'cause I can
fever,
tell
they
when they
tested
can't
for
hear you.
COVID and everything else.
Looking at it
So
from
the
behind,
day
I can
after
see
I
what
did
they-
it, I got
just quit
really
listening.
bad cough. So I have busted several micro blood vessels behind the eye